We wanted to talk to you, too, last week in regard to your thoughts. Everybody seems to have had an opinion on the Toronto FC fan who, of course, decided, well, fans who decided to, I guess, vulgarly attack a City TV news reporter. She then turned the camera on them, and the fun ensued. At the end of the day, at least one person we know of has lost their job, maybe even more. What are your thoughts on how this whole thing is played out from beginning to end at this point?
Well, you know, I got to tell you, when I first heard that breaking story and then when I saw the clip, you've had me on your show probably 100 times over the course of years. I don't think you would ever have depicted me as a violent person. I wanted to rip that guy's head off.
Exactly.
Without a word of a lie.
Everybody just wants to pop him.
It was so visceral.
Yeah.
How can you be so rude, so crude, so disrespectful?
Well, that's the way it is now, Gary. What's the problem?
It was such a verbal assault on a news reporter who was only reasonable.
Yeah.
And you know, the Twitter chatter afterwards, how anyone in their right mind could have defended that jerk of a guy. I have no issue with his losing his job. I have no issue with them having been banned. This is assaultive behavior. I don't think people understand that. Who in their workplace wants to be intruded upon and demeaned publicly? That's harassment in its purest form, and we as a society have to denounce that really loud and clear.
Are you surprised how it's, again, most, I think, see it the way you're describing it, like, how could you do such a thing? But there's still lots that are out there debating, and I find this fascinating, whether it should have cost him his job or not, which I find hilarious because he didn't lose his job because he said it. He lost his job because the ramifications and technology being what it is, it dragged his company into it. You don't remember the guy's name, but you certainly do remember he worked for Hydro One and was on the Sunshine List.
Anyone who will go ahead and defend this guy, to the other men, to the other women out there, pay close attention to these people, because they have their heads screwed on backwards, and they will pose a danger to you. So you can use that diagnostically.
But they say that, you know, he even said, well, I haven't seen this before. It's all over social media. It's been happening for a year. This is the new normal. What's the problem, Gary? Are you prude?
If you want to look at the numbers, so many people in the U.S. and Canada are murdered. So we can look at the numbers, and I'm sorry, numbers don't make inappropriate behavior appropriate. Never did, never will. And if something is trending and it's as vile as that, then at some point you stand up and you say, not on my watch.
What about...
And Scott, you're getting the toned-down version of how I feel.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah. And I think most feel the same way. What about the self-policing aspect of this? It seems that, boy oh boy, people certainly, you know, just when you think society's going to hell in a handbasket, it comes back.
Right. I'm not quite understanding what you're saying.
In the sense that he did this, they did this, and then, of course, it went viral on social media. I think they thought that everybody would be patting them on the back for this, and instead it turned against them.
Yeah, no high
your thoughts on
there,
how
eh?
Your thoughts on how this is all sort of self-policing?
Well, you know, this is where we like social media, where it can hold people accountable to a higher goal, a higher purpose, a higher moral standard. And so to see that kind of outrage is just wonderful. These are the benefits of social media, quickly tracking somebody down and holding them accountable. And that's a good thing.
Will this activity stop? Will people think twice now before they do this? Again, we've said this many times. We can't believe when someone goes into a private situation and there's cameras or phones around, and they do something stupid. But to actually look into a great big giant TV camera with a microphone in front of your face.
How dumb must you be?
Know.
I loved what Shauna Hunt did. She just turned that immediately into the story.
Yeah.
And then you have this other guy saying, are you actually taping this? Are you filming this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Son of a gun. Now what's your mother going to say?
So are people learning you can't do this, or will there be still somebody looking for their 15 minutes of fame wishing to push the envelope?
Well, I think because we had such wonderful backlash against these group of men in this context, now I think people will think twice. That's why, justice was pretty swift. He lost his job. There's public humiliation. If he's in a relationship, good luck with that. There is a very stern message. The public has spoken loudly and widely, and we're saying that won't be acceptable. That kind of nonsense isn't going to work.
So do you think we'll see a decline in this sort of activity? Because it all sort of started as a social media prank. Actually, the first one that was done was actually a skit. Do you think we'll see a decline in this one? Because it's been happening all over North America as well, all over the States.
If this kind of reaction continues, yes, we'll see a decline in this. But, last year, was it, you pour the bucket of water on your head.
Right. Ice bucket challenge.
Pardon me?
Ice bucket challenge.
The ice bucket challenge. So, regardless of what you think about that, again, that was positive social media catching on, and it did wonderful things for the particular charity. Listen, I even forget the name of the charity, but I remember the ice bucket challenge. So again, social media itself isn't the enemy. It's human behavior, what we do with that, and holding ourselves and others accountable.
It's interesting, though, when one of the guys said, it's been going on for a year, that if somehow this is gone viral and it's something, the new shtick that somebody does, that if more people do it, then somehow, even as you said, even though it's despicable, well, it must be okay because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, that kind of stupid groupthink. That as long as more people are in it, there's safety in numbers, and I'm just like one of the lemmings joining the crowd. But eventually we wake up. What do we tell our children? Don't follow the crowd. Don't do something stupid because your friend has done something stupid. And this is the biggest example of, picking up on something stupid until finally it comes home to bite you on the rear end.
Are you surprised how immediate the reaction was? It seemed that police had a statement, the company obviously had a statement, people were, there's backlashes on social media. Are you surprised how quick the reaction was?
Yeah, actually. I was surprised, but in a very good way. And I think so much of that is to the credit of Shauna Hunt, who maintained her composure and professionalism in the face of that harassing assault. According to her, that's been happening many times a day, almost each and every day that she's out there doing her job. So clearly she was fed up with it. But she dealt with it in a very dignified way that just so turned the table on the abuser. So I think that's why it played so well.
Really quickly, coming up after the news, we're going to talk about crowdfunding. What's your take on crowdfunding? We've seen, obviously, people crowdfund for good causes and raise lots of money. We've also seen fraudulent cases. We now see an owner of a hockey team who I call crowdsourcing for a liver in one sense, but it, I guess, is also drawing tremendous publicity to the cause. Will this burn out? Will we get tired of this? Are we saturated with this sort of thing?
Again, plus, minus comments, people love to jump on bandwagons, be they positive or negative, but eventually people will be going too often to that well of crowdfunding. I think it, too, will be a fad that will die over time, and people will have to learn to be very selective in this, recognizing that it can be abused fraudulently.
Gary Dierenfeld has been with us, social worker, yoursocialworker.com to find out more. Gary, as always, thanks very much for the time. Much appreciated.
Love being with you. Thanks for the opportunity to vent.
Hey, anytime. Feel free to send me a note. I'll even read it on the air for you in the middle of the night if you have to vent. Thank you, Gary. 128-900 CHML. I'm Scott Thompson.